Well, I thank the Senator from Kentucky for yielding for a question, and I appreciate his diligence in continuing in this late hour and trying to get answers to some very important questions. I think many of us, when we got up and came in here this morning, were preparing and getting ready for the big blizzard of 2013, which of course never materialized here in Washington, D.C., but evidently there are a lot of agencies of government that weren't here today, and perhaps when they get back, the Senator from Kentucky will get an answer to his question. But I think it's a really straightforward question. And I'm someone this evening who has supported the use of drones in fighting the war on terror. I think they've been very effective in killing terrorists, people who want to do harm to the people of this country. But I think that the question that's been raised by the Senator from Kentucky and the reason why we are here this evening has to do with a straightforward issue. And he's got a sense of the Senate that he's prepared to have the Senate go on record on. And it's very simple and very straightforward. It says, resolved that it is the sense of the Senate that, number one, the use of drones to execute or to target American citizens on American soil who pose no imminent threat clearly violates the constitutional due process rights of citizens. Number two, the American people deserve a clear, concise, and unequivocal public statement from the President of the United States that contains detailed legal reasoning, including, but not limited to, the balance between national security and due process, limits of executive power, and distinction between treatment of citizens and non-citizens within and outside the borders of the United States, the use of lethal force against American citizens, and the use of drones and the application of lethal force within United States territory. It is a very straightforward resolution, a sense of the Senate, and all that the Senator from Kentucky is simply doing is trying to get a response, get a vote on that, make that the statement here of the United States Senate, and obviously get the President of the United States, the White House, and Mr. Brennan, whose nomination is pending before us, to make a clarification on that point. And it's not like this issue popped up overnight. The Senator from Kentucky has been trying for some time to get answers to this question. He's submitted numerous letters and addressed to Mr. Brennan. A letter here, this is one I'm quoting from February 12th, in which he poses numerous questions, one of which is, do you believe that the President has the power to authorize lethal force, such as a drone strike, against a United States citizen on U.S. soil? What about the use of lethal force against a non-U.S. person on U.S. soil? I mean, these are straightforward questions, Madam President, to which the Senator from Kentucky deserves an answer. And this is a perfectly fitting and appropriate time in which to try and get that answer. The nomination of the CIA director, it's an incredibly important and strategic position in this country. And of course, under the Constitution of the United States, Article 2, Section 2, this is the President has the power by and with the advice and consent of the Senate to make treaties provided two-thirds of the senators present concur. And he shall nominate, and by and with the advice of the Senate shall appoint ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, judges of the Supreme Court, and other officers of the United States. So it's the advise and consent power that the United States Senate has under the Constitution that the Senator from Kentucky is exercising on this nomination. And Madam President, again, it's been pointed out many times on the floor of the Senate today, this is not something that is a partisan issue. It is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is something that has ramifications. It's a constitutional question. It has to do with due process under law. It has to do with the advise and consent power in the Constitution of the United States Senate. And so when the Senator from Kentucky continues to press the administration for a straightforward answer, he continues to get sort of these vague, ambiguous answers, if you will. And again, these are questions that have, it's not like this popped up overnight. Back in January 25th of this year, in 2013, the Senator from Kentucky posed of Mr. Brennan a series of questions at that time. And the follow-on letter, which I quoted from earlier here, was on February the 12th. But he put forward questions such as, do you agree with the argument put forth on numerous occasions by the executive branch that it is legal to order the killing of American citizens, and it is not compelled to explain its reasoning in reaching this conclusion? Do you believe this is a good precedent for the government to set? Goes on to ask another question. Would it not be appropriate to require a judge or court to review every case before the individual in question is added to a targeting list? Please describe the due process requirements in place for those individuals being considered for addition to a targeting list. Would you agree that it is paradoxical that the federal government would need to go before a judge to authorize a wiretap on a U.S. citizen overseas, but possibly not to order a lethal drone strike against the same individual? If not, please explain why you believe something similar to the FISA standard should not be applied in regards to lethal actions against United States citizens. Madam President, these are straightforward questions. These are questions to which I believe the senator from Kentucky deserves an answer. And many of us are here this evening at this late hour to support him in that endeavor and his attempt at least to try and, as this nomination moves through the process, get the answers to the questions that would allow him to perform the advise and consent function that is in the United States Constitution as it applies to nominations and as it is, has been implemented here by United States senators in history. And I just want to say to the senator from Kentucky, and I have a question for him in just a moment, that it really is remarkable to see this process unfold. In my time here, and I came in the 2004 election, started my service in the United States Senate in January of 2005, I've not seen a time where we had a senator who, as a matter of principle, stood down here for the number of hours that he has today and insisted on getting some answers. And I give him great credit for the job that he has done in pressing this issue. Now, he's not been given that answer yet. It sounds like kind of come up to the line a couple of times. It's very simple. You could put this thing to rest. All they have to do is come forward and answer that very simple question about the legal authority to target American citizens on American soil with drone attacks. It doesn't seem to me, at least, that that would be that hard of a question to answer. They say as a matter of policy, they've not done that. They don't have any intention to do it in the future. Why don't we just put this issue to rest once and for all? And the senator from Kentucky will allow the process to go forward, and Mr. Brennan can get his vote. But I think in the time, at least that I've been here, it certainly is remarkable to me to see the amount of effort that the senator from Kentucky has put forward in trying to answer a very straightforward question. And for that, I give him great credit, because it's a principled stand, something that too often we don't see enough of around here. And to stand down here and use his powers as a United States Senator in a way that's very fitting with the tradition and history of this great institution. You look at the United States Senate and those who have come before, and the great characters of our history, Clay and Calhoun and others, who have graced the United States Senate, and some of the great debates that have occurred in the past. And it's nice to see us discussing and debating a major constitutional issue, a major constitutional question. And I, like many of my colleagues who are here this evening, support the senator from Kentucky in his quest to get answers. I think it's certainly appropriate. I think it certainly should be expected that the administration respond to what are very straightforward questions with regard to the issue that's been raised by the senator, and I would hope that that question or that answer will be forthcoming. If it's not, it's entirely possible, I suppose, that this could continue for some time into the future. But in any event, I would ask the senator from Kentucky if what it would take in terms of some sort of affirmation, some sort of answer, some sort of response from the White House, from the nominee, the director of the CIA, to satisfy the question that he has raised. It seems to me, at least as a senator from South Dakota, that the question that you posed is a straightforward and simple one, and merely requires a very simple answer.